What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a beautiful, beautiful Monday on the Blue Review, because the Dodgers are going back to the World Series for the fourth time in 8 years. We got our Marcus Grant, Clint Pasillas, the real FRG here. Really excited to have you guys on here. Well, welcome. How are we feeling today? Got a good World Series vibe going on, huh?
Feeling great, man. They got it done. I told you before the show, I woke up nervous about it. Really had a hard time eating. Just was thinking about the game. So like it feels nice. It was just relief, joy, all of that, Clint.
Yeah, when I was on the road yesterday before game time, I had that feeling starting to come in too. A little bit of concern because like if something goes wrong very early, like it can in bullpen games, if something goes wrong, then all of a sudden it's Walker Buehler on the mound, game 7, and anything can happen in a game 7. Thankfully, didn't have to worry about that, and I think we could thank Doc, we could thank the bullpen, we could thank Tommy Edman for the good feelings we have today.
We'll get into all of that about who won why Tommy Edman won MVP, what a little bit about the bullpen game, get a lot into Doc and how he is now untouchable. But we'll get into all of that. But Marcus, I want you to tell us a little bit about LAX.
Yeah, our friends at LAX, Los Angeles International Airport, changes are arriving daily to reduce traffic, save guest time, and transform the travel experience. Info at flylax.com/transforminglax.
Yeah, so thank you very much to LAX, and let's get right into it. So the Dodgers beat the Mets in 6 games, and it didn't. I mean, it's not that it wasn't close, because obviously every game was always tight, but it was blowouts in every single game for the most part, and it just never really seemed like one team ever was. It was never a close game at any point. But Tommy Edman coming through, he was fantastic with 11. I think he had 11 hits, 11 RBIs, and that was at shortstop position, the center field position, at the bottom of the lineup, and the cleanup spot. What did you see from Tommy Edman and why he deserved the MVP, Clint?
I mean, the fact that he is in that spot, you mentioned the shortstop spot, that's not anything he was expecting heading into this postseason. Yeah, maybe you can get some innings there. They understand Miguel Rojas, a very important captain for this team. They understand he was injured, could miss some time, not miss an entire series. So for him to step up, be playing a very, very solid shortstop and turn the bat on. We know his struggles, swinging from the left-hand side, but he's kind of done a little bit of everything in this series. Yesterday was a lot of, swinging right-handed, but to get that 2-run double to kind of make us, or not 2-run double, but still to get the big double. It was 2-run because Teo had to make up for kind of pimping a single there.
Yeah,
but to get that and then follow it up with a very impressive swing on that homer, because I thought that pitch was way out of the zone for him. To step up in this series, step into the cleanup spot and not get phased by any of it. He's like they call the guys in the bullpen. This dude is showing up and he's being a dog for this team.
Yeah, I mean, it's been amazing too, right? And it's funny. You get, I know they talked about him being the son of a coach. You kind of get coach's kid vibes off of Tommy Edman, just that guy who's going to show up with his glove every day, and like wherever you put him, he's going to go out and make a play for you. And so to watch him in this postseason be so amazing, both at the plate, in the field, for a guy that. I think it's interesting because you look at Edman, you look at Kopech, some of these guys who were kind of add-ons, if you will, at the trade deadline have been some of the biggest guys for this team in the playoffs. I mean, sure, they got a really good start out of Flaherty during earlier in the series, but to go out and have Edman be the guy to sort of lead this offense, to have Kopech give you some big innings, just goes to show that you really never know at the trade deadline who necessarily is going to shake out and be the guys that sort of lead the ball club. And so it's been a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I think it's a bunch of dudes, because I want to throw to you on this one, Greg. It's a bunch of dudes that heading into that trade deadline, we knew everybody was kind of clamoring for Jack Flaherty. We didn't know the level of importance that he would have for this team at that point, but talk about a master class as well from Andrew Friedman at the deadline. He found just every perfect piece for this team, and they are, arguably the biggest contributors this postseason. What do you think of Friedman's kind of coup de grace?
My whole mantra has always been, in Friedman we trust. I think you guys may feel the same way. I don't know. But the fact is that every time you need something, except for last year when he didn't really want to do anything because he was saving for Shohei Ohtani, which, by the way, they got Shohei Ohtani. And all it took was 1 year. 1 year for Shohei Ohtani to be on the Dodgers to get to a World Series, when he went 7 years of being on a team that doesn't even make the postseason. But either way, So Friedman, I fully believe in everything that Friedman decides to do. He will always go out and he went and got Manny Machado. He got you, Darvish. He always, if we need something, the Dodgers need something, he always goes out and get it. Look, if you got just Kopech and Edman, you'd be like, that was a great one. But then you're adding Flaherty on top of it, so you have an actual frontline starter. Now we can get into Flaherty a little bit later about his drop in velocity over the last 4 games and what that's going to look like going into this series. But no matter what, he went out and got what was needed to get the job done, and he has been nothing but fantastic. But to go back to Edman, what he did, you had 2 guys have Dodger records of getting on base 17 times in a 6-game series, and neither of them won the MVP. I mean, that just goes to show you about what's going on with this lineup. And we talked about it all year, Clint. It's a lot about the depth of this lineup going 1 through 9, everybody getting on base, everybody doing their job.
Yeah, if it's hard to find a better 1 through 9, even 1 through 10. If Miguel Rojas is healthy, get him in there. How many runs has this team scored with Freddie Freeman out of the lineup? And
they're 3-0 without him.
Yeah, and I think they have like 30, 25 runs. They're scoring a lot. They're putting a lot of points on the board when arguably their most pure hitter is on the bench with that bum ankle, but. A lot of credit to Max Muncy too. I don't know. I'm assuming you guys have seen that interview by now. It kind of spread far and wide last night, but Max Muncy kind of talked about the team issuing a challenge there to the guys in there, so everybody can buy in. Is like, look, just give us 3 weeks. Forget your wives, forget your families, forget your girlfriends, spend time with the boys. And that's where you're seeing everybody kind of come together, gel here. You're seeing a lot of guys very much want to pick each other up. And that's something I said last night on Dodgers territory. The post game, we're celebrating, having beers, having a good time, but we're also looking at how this team is picking each other up. They want to give Freddie all the opportunity in the world to get back in that lineup. And I think it's those little things. It's big things. You're missing Freddie Freeman, Glasnow, Gavin Stone, Clayton Kershaw, the list goes on and on. River Ryan, all these pieces, you're missing them. They had to fall on the sword for you to get here. So now these guys are like, we want to do everything we can to help pick you up. And whether it's a big Mookie hit or a big Tommy Edman hit or some massive innings. I saw somebody in the chat saying you got to shout out Brent Honeywell, turtleneck and chain, doing something special for this team as well. And that was one of the last messages. And I'll stop talking. One of the last messages from Max Muncy too. He's like, after Honeywell in Game 5, Max said, "You just won us Game 6." And that's some stuff I'm talking about, getting chills about it right now. I love the energy coming from this team. I said it's aura coming from that clubhouse. And it's hard to see this team. Yankees very good, but it's hard to see this team losing.
Yeah, it's been amazing to kind of watch this team kind of come together too, because it's funny, if you could ever think of a team that spends $1 billion in the offseason be considered the underdogs, that's kind of what they were starting the playoffs, right? When you had everybody, on the 4-letter network basically predicting that the Padres were going to win. And even, they coming against the Mets team that was red hot, right? They had been sort of Destiny's darlings, it felt like, at the end of the regular season and through the start of the playoffs. Maybe more people were picking the Dodgers to win that, but there was still a sense of, hey, look, if the Mets pull off the upset, I don't know that a lot of people would have totally been surprised. So it has been interesting to sort of watch this group come together. I heard last night after the win, they're in the clubhouse, they're playing Not Like Us, which, by the way, if Drake wants to know how much money it takes to erase 2024 from the history books, because this has been an awful one for him. But it just sort of speaks to how this team really has, as you mentioned, Clint, really coalesced around this idea that, all we got is the guys in this clubhouse. Not totally true, but I do appreciate the mentality and how it seems to have driven them forward.
Yeah, it really has. And let's talk a little bit about what's going on with Doc and what he's done so far, just in this series alone, about how he's used the bullpen, about everything. It seems that every single move that he makes seems to be the right one. I know some comes from the top with Andrew Friedman, but the in-game decisions are coming from him. We've all decided that before the whole postseason. That is all on Dave. We're putting it all on Dave. And he has been almost perfect throughout this entire thing. When I saw Michael Kopech coming in to start the game, I knew he meant business, but at the same time, I was like, You might need that dude down towards the end of the game too. Then that's 7, 8, 9 innings, and so it was pretty interesting to go that way. Marcus, how did you feel about the way the bullpen was used in that game last night? Did you like it, or were you just kind of on pins and needles the whole time?
When I saw in the afternoon that Kopech was going to be the opener, I mean, if we're being honest, my immediate thought was, I don't love this idea, but I fell back on. Look, my mantra for this entire series has been trust Dave. Right. Yep. It has just been trust Dave. And so again, I saw it and my knee-jerk reaction was this doesn't feel great, but I'm like, I'm going to ride this out and see how it goes. And look, it was not a clean first inning, right? I mean, he comes out and is amped and is way out of the strike zone. He's all over the place. He gives up the run, but locks in, gets out of the inning with no further damage done. Then the Dodgers come back and get 2 in the bottom of the first. So in the end, it worked out, and it continues to be Dave pushing all the right buttons and making it work. But, hey, look, sometimes you just kind of got to go on faith, and it felt like that's what yesterday was when you saw who was going to start the game.
Yeah, and one of the right buttons, Ben Kasparius, kind of reset things for this team because I think they were expecting 2 out of Kopech there. Things didn't quite go well. That Chris Taylor probably wanted a little bit of a do-over on that throw that the Pete Alonso hit, but Ben Kasparius, man, 2 innings, clean innings for this team, kind of reset the bullpen because when we're watching the game last night, you get into the 5th or 6th inning, you're looking at the names on the list and you're like, oh boy, they need a little bit of length out of a few dudes here maybe to help us survive. But it worked out, and Blake Trinan, how phenomenal has that dude been in this postseason?
Blake Trinan has been almost unhittable, and it feels like that when you do get a hit off him, it just is luck because there's so much moving on that pitch, and he looks like he did in 2017 with the A's when he's just basically unhittable. He's at that point right now, and the fact was they were going to go to him for 6 outs no matter what.
Yeah.
So. It really felt when I saw Phillips, I was with you when he got into that 5th, 6th inning. You're like, I got Phillips, I got Hudson, I got Trinan, 4 outs each. Is that the way we're gonna go about this? It just I didn't know which way they're gonna go, but they continually made the right decision. Now, one decision that I want to get into, I know this is maybe not the most positive, but giving away games 2 and 5. That Ken Rosenthal said that Dave legitimately gave away 2 and 5 by going bullpen game, by not chasing the win. Did you like the idea of not chasing the win? Obviously it worked, but do you think that do you like the idea of not chasing the win? And do you think you could do that against the Yankees, Clint?
Yankees, that's going to be a tough series. And this is where, where this team is at. And where this team entered the postseason is very much going to come to a head. You have 3 starting pitchers, and one of those guys is Walker Buehler, where you still kind of don't know. I mean, all of them have their question marks. You mentioned Flaherty earlier with the velo down, Yamamoto still coming off of a shoulder injury, and then Walker Buehler's kind of been that guy. So I don't subscribe to the giving the game away because in game 5, you were expecting a lot more out of Jack Flaherty. He just did not have it. Brent Honeywell kept the team in the game as much as he could. They're not all, I guess they're not all going to be, A sides. You got to throw some B sides out there every once in a while. Game 2, maybe a little bit more. I think we're seeing Brazier start to look a little cooked in this postseason.
Yeah,
kind of signs of early season Ryan Brazier, but there's a chance now. They're saying this morning is a chance Alex Vestia could be back. Maybe a Bruce Dark-Gratterall could be back. So you could see some change in that bullpen. But I would say, game 2, maybe a little bit more than game 5. Game 5 is just you're dealing with the hand that the hand you were dealt, and Flaherty didn't have it.
No, he did not.
No, and I do think after that game, Roberts made the point. He's like, look, if I had known Andy Pages was going to hit 2 bombs and we were going to put up all these runs, like maybe I would have gotten Flaherty a little bit earlier. But I think one of the challenges for him has been knowing what this pitching staff is and sort of having to kind of play a little bit of 3-dimensional chess, right? It's sort of understanding that, if you chase one day and it doesn't work, then you really have put yourself behind the 8 ball for the next day. I did feel like maybe in game 5, they could have chased it a little bit more knowing they had the off day to come back. But with the bullpen game on tap and not wanting to get it to a game 7, I sort of understood the logic. I mean, I kind of figured out early on, after those first 5 runs or so, I'm like, well, it looks like Flaherty's going to have to wear it today. Didn't think he was going to wear it to the tune of 8 runs or whatever it ended up being. And then, Honeywell came in and was kind of up and down there. So yeah, I mean, it's frustrating. Obviously, all's well that ends well, but I think to give Roberts a little bit of grace, which seems to be the theme of the postseason, is he really was trying to sort of plan 2 or 3 steps ahead. And sometimes, like Clint said, somebody has to kind of make some sacrifices. And at least on that day, it was Flaherty and Honeywell.
Yeah, no, definitely wasn't. You saw it. Like Flaherty obviously didn't have it, like you said, Clint. But at the same time, it was a 3-1 game. You could have pulled him and tried, but then you're using your bullpen over and over again. They got runs. They did pick up runs. They very easily. It was very early in the game when it was 3-1 that they could have possibly come back and just closed out in 5. But the fact of the matter is, they did not want you to see their bullpen again. And if you didn't win that game, then you're seeing the bullpen, everybody, you're seeing high leverage relievers, big time relievers over and over again. And John Smoltz, who's been kind of the bane of my existence in years past, has been really, really good. But I think we figured it out is because he was brave. He hates the Mets more than he hates the Dodgers. So he's being kinder towards the Dodgers. Someone told me that the other day, and I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. It completely tracks. So, but what he says over and over again is that if you see a guy in the bullpen 3 times, it's the same thing as seeing a starting pitcher 3 times as well. So not getting to see that. When it came into Trinan yesterday, that was the second time they saw him in the series. They saw him in game 1 and they saw him in game 6. That's it. So so again, the usage of the bullpen has been fantastic by Dave Roberts. And I understand why he didn't chase. It just kind of hurts when you want that game 5 victory too, Clint.
Yeah. Listen, it comes down to the Dodgers have 3 starting pitchers. The bullpen's going to be overexposed. You can't go to a game 7 against this vaunted Yankees lineup. By the way, Dodgers Yankees. How much fun is that going to be, Marcus? Are you looking forward to seeing Dodgers Yankees, an all-timer coming up?
Oh, it's going to be amazing, right? I mean, again, if you are Rob Manfred, you could not have scripted this better, right? You've got your 2 largest markets, 2 of your most historic franchises playing on opposite coasts with 2 of your biggest stars in the game, right? This is the first time there have been 2 50 home run hitters in the same regular season playing against each other in the World Series. So you got, Judge on one side, Judge and Soto on one side, Ohtani, Betts, hopefully Freeman on the other side. This is everything you could want. And it's also, here's the thing. It's 2 franchises that you have a definite opinion about one way or another. So there are going to be a lot of people who are watching because they are fans of either team. There are going to be just as many people watching because they want one of these teams to just fall on their face. So, if you're Major League Baseball, if you are Fox, hate watching counts as good as watching it because you love one of those teams, and that's what you're going to get a lot of.
I mean, who is more the evil empire in this situation right now? The Yankees are the evil empire. They always have been. But the fact of the matter is, the Dodgers signed Shohei Ohtani to a massive deal. They signed Yamamoto. They went out and they got Kopech, Edman, and Flaherty. And people are going to say, oh, you have to get everybody. No matter what, they got Teoscar for basically nothing. Yeah. So, I mean, who do the people hate more, the Dodgers or the Yankees right now? That's what makes this show so great, too.
Yeah, it feels to me like generally baseball fans are less happy seeing the Dodgers in there again. It is like you said, 4th time in 8 years the Dodgers are going to a World Series, but bring on the hate. Let them. I think this team is also riding on that hatred and teams kind of not or media people not picking them to win this game or win this series. And I'll take all the fuel we can get to bring home another championship, and one in which where we can have a party, have that parade, bring back a lot of the boys from 2020 while we're at it that didn't get that parade. But task at hand first, job's not finished. You got to win 4, whether they like you or they hate you.
Yeah. I will say this. I think right now the Dodgers probably catch more hate because I think there are a lot of people out there who are sort of bitter about, one, spending that much money, but also being able to defer that much money. There's a lot of folks who feel like the Dodgers sort of pulled a fast one on Major League Baseball by not only bringing in Shohei, but basically paying him pennies on the dollar for the time. Look, at some point that bill comes due, but if you're Andrew Friedman, if you're Mark Walter, you don't mind paying that bill once if you're able to raise a trophy or two, it's going to make you feel a whole lot better about it. Is that Beto Duran sliding in there?
Go ahead, Beto. Go ahead.
Beto, what's going on, man?
What's up? Oh, I like this guy. He's good, man. Dude, this guy's like a hustler, man. By the way, I didn't know you were on here, but real talk, like I've been a fan of yours for a while. You've been hustling from when you first started to where you're at right now. Keep on doing what you're doing, man. You're really, really good, really dedicated. The hustle, the grind, people don't understand it, but you're on your way, man. Keep doing what you're doing.
All right, Beto, thoughts. What you thought from that series from the Mets, and what do you think for the Yankees?
All right, for the Mets, you expected that to happen. Like I told you, Mark Gubas had told us it was over. It was going to be over quick. It wasn't going to be easy. It was going to be easy against the Mets. Now the Yankees, like you're in the World Series, just take advantage of it, enjoy it, no matter what. I know you guys are going to do hardcore breakdown. Let's just do that Thursday, right? Enjoy today. Right? You have Yankees, Dodgers, the history part, and for all the people crying and complaining, the two richest team. You know what? Everybody who owns a baseball team is a billionaire. You can do the same exact thing. So enjoy it. And Clint, great for you, man. Good seeing you. And by the way, Bergman's going to the World Series.
Right. Izzy, let's go.
Good, let's go, man.
Going to game one.
Go.
Greg, you need a +1, right?
Can you get down here by 5 o'clock?
Absolutely. I will camp out front, buddy.
All right, so
what a spot to be in, boys. What a spot to be in, man. Enjoy that. Enjoy these days off. I think that's the mantra the team needs to have.
So sure. I mean, and Beto was right. We're gonna break everything down. We'll break down like who has the better starting lineup, who has the better starting pitching, the bullpen, all that's the managing, all that good stuff. But just right off the bat, what is your just gut reactions? And we'll start with Marcus. Your gut reaction. How do you see this series playing out?
Dodgers in 6.
Baby.
I think it's going to be a battle. I think off the top of my head, I think the Yankees probably have an advantage in starting pitching. I think the Dodgers have a bullpen advantage. And I like the Dodger lineup 1 through 9. I think they've got 9 really tough outs. Not that the Yankees don't have tough outs, but I think if we're putting lineup for lineup, I like the Dodgers a lot more.
Yeah, the Yankees have some spots the Dodgers can expose. I mean, maybe there's some dudes that can run into one. Old friend Alex Verdugo in there, Anthony Volpe, Gleyber Torres, but their offense runs on. It feels like old Dodgers teams. It's you want the dub, you got to slug, but if they don't slug, then they're not really putting up runs here and there. You saw the Soto getting the big 3-run homer to send them to the World Series. So if you're able to keep the ball in the yard, you're going to be okay. I don't know how much I still believe it, but I'm going to keep riding with it. Last night I said Dodgers in 5, so F it, Dodgers in 5.
Wow, going in 5. I love that one. I'm with Marcus. I think it's Dodgers in 6, and I'm probably going to stick to that. I wouldn't be surprised if this game goes 7, the series goes 7. I just think that the Yankees, while they are a big-time slug team, they are kind of like the old-school Dodgers. They're going to slug, but they're also extraordinarily patient. They're just like the Dodgers like that. They are not going to swing at things outside the zone. They walk a ton, and that all starts with Juan Soto, and with Juan Soto is one of the best guys to walk in the entire league. So if they just have to be able to pound the strike zone, because that's always what hurt the Dodgers. If you get strike 1, and you start pounding the strike zone, they will not hit you. So if you can get some swing and miss and do all that, I really think the same thing. Dodgers in 6. I love that you say Dodgers in 5, Clint. Look at you.
I'm gonna let it eat, baby. I'm gonna ride that one.
That's what I'm talking about. All right, well, we got to get over to Travis and DeMarco. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Clint. Thank you, Marcus. And I got the beer on a Monday. That felt really good, especially with a Monday where we're going to the World Series. God, that feels so good to say. Feels so good to say. All right. Thank you to LAX. Thank you for everybody that came into the chat. Thank you for Beto for popping in. All right. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
That's all I got.